Good morning, Year 4. Well done for all your hard work this week. So what I'm going to be doing for a little while now is I'm going to be making some videos for you that go through the reading questions, and we're going to be looking at different style questions. So each day you'll see me show you a reading dog that we're used to using in class, and I'm going to talk through the skills you need to use to answer these style questions. So you've been doing a really good job so far answering all the questions in your activity booklet to help you with these questions. So I've been really impressed because there's been a lot of retrieval skills at the moment that you've been working really hard on. So today I'm going to go through pages 8 and 9, which is the Caliva Atrabatum page, and we're going to have a look at some of the questions. So these questions focus on different skills, but today I'm just going to have a look at question 2 and question 3, because these are the questions where we need to use our inference skills. These are inference questions, okay? So I've brought along Inference Iggy because we need to put our Inference Iggy head on today, because we need to hunt for clues in the text about why something is happening. So it's all about hunting for clues in the text. So it's not the same as retrieval where the answer will be straight there. We need to find the clues to help us. So I would strongly suggest before you start to answer any questions, you just read through both of the pages. So if you wanted to pause this video now and have a read through of the pages, that would be a really good idea before you start to look at the questions. I would also suggest having a look back over what you read yesterday, okay? Because some of this starts to mention some of the things that we're going to be reading about today. So again, you might want to pause it and just have a quick skim through what you read yesterday. Okay, once you've done that then, have a look in your book. So you've got the true and false questions. I'm not going to go through those ones today because you've been doing a really good job of those questions at home. But I'm going to have a look at questions 2 and 3, okay, because we need to think about why we need to use our inference skills to help us answer this question. I'm going to leave that there so that we remember that's what we're doing. Okay, so it says, use page 8 of your study book and what you know about the Oppida to answer the questions below. So lots of people visited big settlements like Caliva. What do you think they came to Caliva for? Okay, so we need to finish the sentence, and it's actually given us the starter here. So I think people visited Caliva too. So we need to think, why did they visit Caliva? So let's look through the text and see if we can find any clues to help us answer this. And it does say in the text you can read about the Oppida on pages 6 and 7 of your study book, okay? So you might already be thinking from when you read through these pages that they were places to work in, that you could trade there too. There were centres for working with metal, so I'm just refreshing all the skills and all the things that I learnt last time. They would make tools there, they could trade things such as coins. Oh, I'm looking back at this bit. Glass for the rich, so they imported glass into Britain so they could buy glass there and trade things. Again, eating like Romans, so they brought in things like olive oil and wine, so they imported that into this area so that they could have those as well. So that's a really good clue. So I'm going to remember what I've learned on that page because I might use that. But it does tell me to look at page 8 as well. So let's read through page 8 together so that we can find clues to answer this question. So, Caliva Atrabatum, which is now called Silchester, is a good example of oppidum. Archaeologists, notice how some of these words are in different colours. You might have noticed that the orange words are in your glossary at the back, which tells you the meaning of this word. So I can see the word archaeologist there is a person who studies history by digging up objects and using them to tell us about the past. Oppidum is a type of settlement, a bit like a town where people lived, worked and traded. So that's really important, so then I know what I'm reading. Okay, so archaeologists have found tiny drops of gold in the soil around Caliva. This picture shows how one of them looked under a microscope. It's actually about the same size as the width of one of your hairs, so although it looks quite big in that picture, it wasn't. Okay, so let's have a closer look at Caliva. Look at this picture showing what Caliva at Trebarton might have looked like. So look at the houses. How do you notice that they've been arranged? Caliva was built on a grid pattern like a Roman town. It was one of the first places built like this in Britain. It also had stone walls surrounding it, and archaeologists think that the gold was worked into Caliva. Things made here would probably have been traded with the Romans and other people in Britain. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my inference skills to help me answer this question. So let's read the question for a second time. So, lots of people visited big settlements like Caliva. Why do you think they came to Caliva? So we need to think about why they visited. So looking back at the pages we read previously, we were reading things that they came to trade things like metals, they came to buy things like glass or olive oil and wine. On this page, it repeats that again. It said that they would have traded things with the Romans and other people in Britain. So I think they would have visited Caliva to trade. And I could give an example of what sort of things they would trade. So they could trade. And this is where I need to use the evidence in the text. I need to think about what things I've read about that they were trading. So they would trade things like glass, metal, could be food items, it could be olive oil. So they are the sort of things they might visit Caliva for. It would mainly be to trade. That's what I'm inferring from the evidence that I know by looking at the pictures as well. Okay, so let's look at question 3, because this is a different type of question. This time it wants us to look at the picture, so it's not necessarily reading anything. We need the picture to help us. So look at the picture of Caliva on page 8 of the study book. Write down some, so I'm going to circle that word because that's not one thing, it's some, which means I need more than one. Some of the things that you might think the buildings in the picture would have been used for. Okay, so again, it's giving us our sentence starter. I think the buildings would have been used for. Now I need to find some things. So what I'm actually going to do is, if I hold this book a little bit closer, you might find it easier to look in your own book at this time. So I'm looking at the picture really closely. What would the buildings have been used for? Okay, so down here I can see a man who almost looks like he could be cooking. This is me inferring, looking at the clues. Or maybe he could be making something. Oh, okay, I'm thinking about what I know about Caliva. It was used for metal work, so maybe that's metal work going on there. I can see some cattle here as well, where they would have used to transport things for trading. Oh, there's 2 people here almost standing behind a desk. That could be some sort of trading. So one thing I could infer is that these houses were used for trading. Okay, let's have a look here. I can see the man here, he's carrying water. You can see people at the well. There looks like 2 people here that might be sitting and eating together. I can see some smoke coming from the houses. So I'm now going to infer that maybe this is where people lived, okay? If there's smoke coming from the buildings, that probably tells me there's some form of cooking going on there. So that could be their home. So notice how in the picture, it doesn't tell me that answer straight away. I'm not retrieving, I'm not trying to find an answer. I'm having to use inference. I'm finding the clues to help me answer that. Okay, so let's now look back at the question and write our sentence. So I think the buildings would have been used for trading items, because I noticed the people that were kind of standing behind a desk. I could put something about creating metalwork. Would have been used for trading items. I'm going to get rid of my comma. And homes for people to live in. Okay, so they are 2 examples of inference questions today. Not all of these questions on the page are inference questions, so be really careful, because some you might have to find that direct evidence in the text, okay? But I just wanted to go through today how to answer those style questions, and it's all about hunting from the clues, okay, and justifying why you've chosen that answer. So these are the pages you need to complete today. If you need any help with those, please email us. You'll see that there'll be some other videos coming up soon showing you how to answer different style questions as well.